1, 2, and 3.
So moved.
And we have a support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, those have been approved, items 1, 2, and 3. So James, if we could get from you and Carter, get a update regarding the status of the CJC.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. James Heath, Wayne County Corporation Counsel.
Carter Fisher, also with Corporation Counsel.
Good afternoon, Greg Kurtz, Director of Facilities Management and Planning.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I do have a major announcement that you have been waiting for, but I think you probably expected. I have picked my Michigan State Spartans to win the national championship in my bracket. And so we anticipate getting good news on that soon.
Wishful thinking.
So thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. We've submitted what is kind of has been our standard summary update, but we do have kind of some talking issues that I want to discuss with you all. As an update, on Tuesday evening, we completed the key transfer process, which is a pretty elaborate several-day process, which involves checking and double checking, triple checking all the many keys and the like that are needed to operate within the CJC facility. So I want to thank Greg and his team, the Wayne County Sheriff, and others for working with Rock and Barton Malow to complete that. What that means is that the county now has possession and control of the criminal justice complex. And for purposes of our development agreement, the turnover date is deemed to have been March 18th. And so that was Monday. And so what does that mean? Number one, it starts the clock for the 180-day, 6-month transition period. And as you all remember, that is a period that we have to move into the CJC, all of the end users, the court, the sheriff, the juvenile detention facility, all those who are going to be moving into the facility. But that's only a portion of our responsibility. We also have to vacate what we are calling the Rock buildings. Those are the facilities that we turned over to Rock, transferred to Rock when the commission approved and the county executive signed the development agreement back in July of 2018. And so sometimes we speak informally and we say, well, we just have to move in. No, we have to move in and then we have to vacate. And so those are two discrete tasks that our vendors and F&P and others are helping us with. And so we are into that transition period now. We have been working extremely hard. You all who were present for our presentation on kind of that general transition process and overview will recall that. And so we are feeling very good about that process and it is underway. The county, so we have responsibility for security in all aspects of the facility, costs and the like. That includes establishing building site protocols, and the Wayne County Sheriff is in charge of that and has been presenting that information to Greg's team as well as others. The sheriff has indicated that sometime around April 1st or so, they will have finished their review and sweeps of the buildings and the like, and will be allowing contractors back in to continue some of the work. But I think as the sheriff is in the process of taking over control of the building, we want to give that department the time that they need to in order to do that. There are still remaining construction issues that we are going to be dealing with. There's some minor work that is still required in the development agreement that Barton Malow and Rock have to complete. And so we're working with them on schedules for that. That work is not going to impact the transition period at all that we are engaging in right now, but there's work to be done there. The punch list items that are are kind of very I won't call them minor, but they're work that is contemplated to be completed prior to final completion. It was always understood that at post turnover, there would still be some punch list items that remain to be done. And then you've heard quite a bit of talk about the operation and maintenance manuals that we have been discussing and working with. The bulk of those have been submitted to HOK, who has to do a final approval, or not a final approval, but to stamp those and say that they are in conformity with the specifications for the development agreement. We do have some of the major ones. We're having them reorganized in a way that is helpful to Greg and his team. But one of the things that we are going to be receiving is Barton Malow staff on site Monday through Friday at the facility to help with any questions that Greg and his team might have. We also are going to have site presence at points throughout this process by the subcontractors who actually installed the major services or systems in the building. So mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and security, the actual folks who know exactly what was put in, and they will be working hand in glove with Greg's team to make sure that they have all the information that they need as they go about their business of maintaining the facility. And that's going to be available, at least with respect to Barton Malow representatives, until we have all of the manuals in a manner that we think is appropriate. And so we feel comfortable that we're going to be doing that. And we'll be on our way. Additionally, as this commission knows, there have been asks that our end users have made for what we have been terming post-turnover construction. And so I use the example, for instance, of the courts who wanted to transition to non-jury courtrooms into jury courtrooms. And those requests, many of which came up after we really just kind of had to decide on the final design and construction with Rock, or we would not be able to get to the turnover period that we have now. And so, as this commission knows, we've made a commitment to pricing out and designing those changes with our end users have requested. And that will allow us to make a final decision on what we can do with respect to changes that they have made. So that is work that is still they're yet to come after turnover. So while our transition teams are working on getting into the facility and making sure that transition occurs smoothly, others of us will be engaged with Bedrock to kind of close out some of the financial issues that we have between us. I know this subcommittee has asked quite a bit about, for instance, environmental costs and the like. We are going to be working those things out. There are change order disputes that we have with Rock that we're going to need to negotiate. One of the things that we decided on both sides was that we would kind of put off some of those financial issues until we got past our construction, got past our turnover point, and so are into transition. So the bulk of our county team is going to be working on transition, but those in administration are going to be working on continued discussions with Rock. And we've set some kind of a deadline for ourselves for early May to conclude that stuff. And so as we solidify that, certainly we'll be making this commission subcommittee aware of progress that we have. In terms of, so I guess I'll stop there, and I've got some more stuff I'll go over. But are there any questions until I go forward?
Commissioner Baydun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. James, on the punch list items, are these items, would you consider some of these items major where they will slow down the moving process into the CJC?
Not at all.
Okay,
Not at all.
thank you.
None of the work that is remaining and our period for moving into the CJC.
Commissioner Kinlock.
Also, we had some conversations as it relates to, whether, parking arrangements and, as shuttle services and fees associated with the parking. How is that all, being decided?
Sure. So I'll kind of take those one at a time for right now. You mentioned shuttle services. We have released a solicitation and are receiving bids for the shuttle services to be operated that will take employees from our offsite parking lots into the CJC. And so that bid is still open. And once it closes, we'll be handling it in the normal course that we handle all of our solicitations. And so so your first question with respect to parking locations and the like, now that we're into transition, we're going to be meeting with our end users to kind of give them an understanding of what we think our parking allocation plan should be. And I will tell you that they are anxiously awaiting that information. But that's something that we are going to be releasing in the very near future. The county executive has already indicated that with respect to our employees, that parking will be without charge for employees there. And I think that, as to the general public, there's not been a formal announcement with respect to that, but information will be forthcoming on that as well. But as to employees, it will be free. Were those the three issues you raised?
Yes, and then also, there's discussions that, you had me to weigh in on early on regarding the sidewalks, bus routes, and any of those type of infrastructure, city infrastructure.
Right. And so, as you know, we've been meeting diligently with the city of Detroit. We are working out an IGA with them because as you know, the DDOT and bus routes and streets and parking, or rather street lighting and the like is under the city of Detroit and Public Lighting Authority's purview. But we have been meeting with them, and when we are confident that when the CJC opens for people to have to walk those streets and sidewalks and all that sort of stuff, that we'll be ready to accommodate them.
Okay, so we've finally gotten here, and this is, time like we're at the turnover. At what point will we have the total cost associated with this project? I know that Bedrock agreed to take on, certain costs associated with this development. The deal, it was an incredible deal to have negotiated, especially at that time, and then not knowing all, COVID and all the other issues that would come to follow. So when will, we actually get the final idea of, the success on the benefit from the public as far as the costs associated with this?
Excellent question. And so I think that there's several components to that. I think after we get to our beginning of May, after we've kind of negotiated and finished things with Rock, as we turn our attention to that will give you a great idea there. But then there's also issues, as I said, related to the post-turnover construction changes that we make with respect to what our end users have requested. And
there's some things that we're going to incur for us on that we said that we would do.
Correct. And so when I'm referring to post-turnover construction, I'm referring to changes to construction that were not contemplated in the original basis of design.
Right.
And so, we have been holding the line with respect to making sure the county got the construction that was required by the design documents. And so that's the majority of the conversations that we've been having with Rock, making sure we get that. The deal says, though, that things above or different from the basis of design would be county changes and county's responsibility. And so the courtroom example is a good one. The court has indicated that, we need 2 additional jury courtrooms with jury capabilities. The design was for those not to be jury courtrooms. And so that would be a change to the basis of design, a change to the agreement. And so that would have been, if we had Rock do it, that would have been a classic change order that would have been the responsibility of the county.
With that particular change, it won't create any deficiency since it wasn't part of the initial plan. So it's enough space to bring about that.
Yeah, you know, with the design that we're gonna implement, we're confident that we'll be able to do it. The reason that we didn't have Rock do it was because we were, as you said, at the end of kind of construction when this issue came up. And so we have the opportunity to have any contractors that we like, whoever accommodates the design that we think is appropriate to come in, and they'll be bidding on they'll be looking at the work, and our property management group, Friedman, is going to be, you know, working with Greg and his team in making sure that we get the right design for that. So that would be an example of a change. You will recall that in the Friedman contract that you approved, there were funds already contemplated for additional construction in that agreement. I believe the figure was $2 million roughly. And so we wanted to approximate, get an idea of what these additional projects will cost, but until we bid them out and price them, I can't give you a specific number.
Is that one of those contracts that won't come before commission because it'll be handled through Freeman?
That was one of the contracts that you already approved Freeman to do the work on that one. Yes, sir. And so to answer your question, we'll have a much better idea of what I'll call here our all-in costs with respect to construction after we kind of work these things out with Rock by beginning of May, and then also know what the other construction projects will be.
I think Carter had did you provide that to all the members?
Yes.
Okay. The updated where we're at now picture with costs, it should be in that document. Right. And that, of course, which one that is.
I think that might have been me. I apologize.
But anyway, that'll give you some idea of where we're at right now, but the post turnover issues that have yet to be.
And to that point, what Carter's provided now, and he may speak to this after I do, what Carter's provided is in line with the reports that we've been submitting since Mark Abbo
Right.
was here with respect to cost. But I do think it's appropriate to add some context here because I think what you all have been most interested in is kind of our construction costs, and that's a much simpler concept to understand. The development agreement that you all approved was for roughly $401 million, and that was the county's that ended up being what was in the construction fund for the county. We have, in terms of change orders up to this point, and those change orders either came to the commission as a whole or through the change order panel that the commission approved. There's only been roughly $3 million of change orders throughout this entire project and to date. And so, you know, that's really a remarkable number, and it will very well change as we continue to go forward based on what I've said. But to date, only roughly $3 million. That's about 0.5% of the total cost, Rock and county, to build the facility. And, you know, kind of by reference in kind of general construction norms, what you would find would be a 5 to 10% ratio in terms of additional costs, and added on. If it were 5%, we'd be looking at $31 million. If it was 10%, we'd be looking at $62 million. And just and I know those who have been participating in the change order panel are aware of this, but I do think it's worth noting. A lot of our negotiations with Rock have been about, well, we want this construction done a particular way, and the county is saying, we think that this is a part of the basis of design. And then on the other hand, Rock is saying, well, no, we think that that is a change order. And so we've had some level of compromise on that regard. And if you were to look at the changes that from our initial proposal with respect to Rock for change orders, that was roughly $20 million. And, you know, it came down to $3 million through the negotiations and the like. But there have been changes specifically that we have requested, whether changes to the on-site facility maintenance building with respect to changes to a hot food cafeteria, which was not, you know, we expanded that from the initial basis of design, as well as adding additional on-site parking. And so there have been changes that were clearly ours, and then things that we ended up negotiating. But I think it's important to give you a sense of the scale of changes, only $3 million to date with respect to construction. You know, one of the things that the central utility plant, which, as those of you who were here will recall, was a separate contract that we had with DTE Energy Services, roughly $36 million or so. But that was not an unexpected charge either, because the 2018 initial development agreement contemplated the construction of a power source, which ended up being a CUP. No one knew what it was going to cost at that point. But in the first several pages of the agreement, which the county executive signed and you all approved, you know, laid out pretty clearly, not pretty clearly, absolutely clearly, that the parties understand that there needs to be a power source for this facility. And so negotiated that we always understood. And so taking into account, if you just look at the construction aspect of this, I think that the commission, with the oversight that this committee's had, with the work that the county executive has allowed us to do, all of us on the county side, when we do the final tally of all this, will have a lot to be proud of for the manner in which we've all been good stewards of the county's money in that regard.
Commissioner Kenlock again.
I-75 and Warren, is there any conversation, or do you have any idea of whether there'll be any change with the traffic signals in that area, because you have more traffic taking place than over there?
I don't specifically know, Carter, have you had any conversations with?
We haven't talked about that intersection in particular. We have talked a little bit about potential traffic changes related to especially on-street parking in the area, up and down Russell, which is where the main entrance to the building will be. So we have talked a little bit about that and talked about potentially adding crosswalks to accommodate pedestrian traffic there as well. And so we have had some pretty in-depth conversations between our teams, our parking consultant, and the city of Detroit on those issues, and we'll continue to sort of see how that develops. But as it relates to Warren and 75, we haven't done much there.
Have at least just bump them on that to take a look at any potential impact that might, with the traffic patterns might change because of the more, you know, it's already kind of congested in that area.
Sure.
Without the operation of the CJC, but just, you know, just see whether or not any timing changes need to be made in that area.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll do.
Thank you.
People start calling me. Sure.
Commissioner Hayes.
Thank you. You mentioned the employee would have a free-
Microphone. Please turn your microphone on. Flip it down.
Thank you. You mentioned the employee would have a free parking. What about the jury duty citizen who get called to serve?
Yeah, and so it's an important issue, one that we have taken quite a bit of look at. I don't want to get ahead of an announcement regarding parking with respect to the public at this point. But it is something that we've looked at very closely, and as soon as the county executive and our county team's ready to make an announcement on that, this subcommittee will be the first to know. But with respect to employees, parking will certainly be free at this point.
Well, the jury duty people consider a temporary employee for certain time. They get called by the court. I hope that would be looked into.
I can't imagine that there'll be an end result that you won't be satisfied with, Commissioner.
That's good to hear, because that is something that's been important to me also. Thank you. Was that it? Okay.
Thank you.
I did want to ask clarification. You mentioned when the sheriff was going to have, I don't think you called it a final walkthrough, but to check everything out. But I wanted to find out if that is, how will they handle that? Do they like seal off that section of the development because they've gone through and said everything is in good position where it should be, and so there's no for lack of a better term, something that's taken place that causes a problem for the sheriff then down the road.
So I
And the
guess
jail.
so by making that statement about kind of early April, when they're going to give us the green light to kind of bring in our subs and other subs and the like, I wasn't intending to speak on exactly what their process is
Okay.
going to be for sterilizing
Sure.
the area and the like. As you can imagine, there's a certain level of privacy that is appropriate
Sure.
with respect to their policies. But as we move through transition to the point that they are comfortable, I think we can have them, discuss their processes in that regard
Securing.
with this subcommittee. But I think that's probably all I should end up saying now, unless Greg or Carter have something they think I can add.
I would just add that I think most of the work being done by vendors post turnover has more to do with the courts and office area than it does with jails. So when we're talking about furniture, fixtures, and equipment or audio-visual equipment, that will be primarily focused in the other buildings, not the secured buildings. We've done most of the FF&E work there that's required.
Okay, so
Mr. Kenlock.
also as it relates to the parking issue and the discussion of parking. So have you spoken with our council regarding the statute that the parking and fees associated with that and parking, the statute that says that it should be done by ordinance?
So I think for reasons that will probably become apparent going forward, I've not spoken with council about fees.
Okay, so that's, so I'm just saying, so, but whether or not, whether we will or will not, it should still be, yeah, thank you.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. And the overall schedule of move-in, do you have anything you could share with us on that?
I'll just, nothing other than the general, statement about our time period. We are confident that within our 6-month time period allotted by the development agreement that we will have. And so 180 days from March 18th is
Right.
our deadline, and we have no concerns at this point with meeting that deadline.
So you don't have an overall plan then as far as who comes in first and.
Oh,
all
I'm
the
sorry.
way
Yeah,
down.
absolutely. That, right. And that's what was presented to the commission in our transition overview, and we can, share that again. And so we're gonna, the first end user to come in will be the adult detention facility,
Okay.
followed by the juvenile detention facility.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question in that
Okay,
regard.
sorry. Any other questions by members? No other questions? Okay.
I do, if I could I'm sorry, did I?
Tim was, yeah, something.
I just wonder if, is the tour a possibility for commissioners to see the finished product, or is it, are we on their way?
So once the sheriff's department has completed their kind of review of things and the like, we'll be able to address those issues and tours. I don't think that that's going to be happening in the very near term, but as we look at, so as it not affect our transition activities, we'll let the commission and others know about that. But as for right now, the building is in the hands of the sheriff, and they are doing what they need to do to make sure it's secure at this point. If I could take just a point of personal privilege for a second.
Sure.
I've been working on this project for 5 or 6 years, and I don't think there's been a day that I've worked on it without my friend and colleague Carter Fisher. Carter didn't have any gray hair when he started here. No hair on his face even. And he's just done a tremendous job. And so anything, when anyone says, anything about Corporation Counsel or the Department of Corporation Counsel and the role that our department has played in getting us to this point. Instead of Corporation Counsel, they could just say Carter Fisher because he's worked that hard and been that great. Unfortunately, I'm not the only one who thinks he's great.
Mhm.
And so Carter's going to be leaving us sometime in April and moving on to a wonderful opportunity. I won't spill the beans, but I do want to say in front of this committee how much I appreciate the work that he's done and how much he's meant to our department and how much we're going to miss him.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you. Can I spill the beans?
Feel free.
Well, Commissioner Anderson and I were at the State of the City in Livonia on Tuesday, and much to our surprise, the mayor got up there and started speaking. All of a sudden, Carter's picture's up there, and he's being appointed and hired as the city attorney in Livonia. So I'm thrilled about that. We're sorry to lose you at the county. You've done an awesome job, but I'm glad
Again,
we're going to get to see you. And then I didn't realize, because I've been at the city I've been elected since 2001, but his dad, Mike Fisher's worked there 30 years. And so I worked with his dad for all these years and never put the connection in. So Livonia is going to be very happy to have you, and we're going to be very sorry to lose you here at the county.
county's loss happens to be the gain of Livonia.
Yeah.
So,
I saw you in the audience and I'm like, what is Carter Fisher doing here? Did Warren Evans send him here just to observe the state of the city? And then boom, so big surprise.
is it?
Thank you very
Commissioner.
much. Thank you for the kind words from James and from the commissioners. And it's been a real pleasure working here for James and working with everyone here and including commission staff and all the commissioners. You've been very gracious with me, and I really do appreciate that.
Thank you. Commissioner Clemente.
So I saw a picture on Facebook and I was trying to figure out why you were there too. So now I know. Congratulations. And still Livonia is in Wayne County, so we still have you.
That's right. I'd just like to say congratulations and
Thank you,
wish you
Commissioner.
the best. We'll see more of you, I'm sure, in Livonia. Yeah. Anyway, any other questions? Any other comments? Anyone from the public? Let's see. Oh, such other matters? Sorry, Madam Clerk.
Item E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Are there any that you've received anything? I
I
have not received anything. Okay. Next on the agenda,
Item F, public comments.
are there any comments from anyone in the room? Or are there any online?
There are no participants online and no emails were received.
Okay. With that, vote to adjourn.